Hello everybody, Wyatt Andrews Workshop here, and welcome back to another episode of Orewell Zoo. I'm finally back from my little adventure in July, and yeah, we're back. I don't really know how much of that I want to share, but yeah, all you need to know is that I wasn't at the computer, and now I'm at the computer again. So, and as soon as I got back about a week ago, I've been building pretty much nonstop, so I've definitely got an episode's worth of stuff ready to go for you guys. I think this is like the third time we've opened an episode in this area, but this time it's actually for a pretty good reason, because right away over here we've made some changes to the Meerkat exhibit. So before, I'll put some pictures up in case you don't remember, but this used to be like about twice the size, just sort of going back this way, and there used to be a lot of, or this whole like, the whole like perimeter of the exhibit was lined with this like corrugated fence. And I think that looks cool, but or it looked cool, but the budget wasn't really like consistent with what I wanted. It was just a little bit too janky, and I think I could still get that sort of low-ish budget thing across without like, you know, just actively making it look ugly. So instead, we've now got this wooden pole fence with some hot wire attached, and I think it still looks pretty janky, but it's to a degree I'm a little more comfortable with, whereas before I was just like, this is like roadside zoo vibes. Like, I think the zoo would be able to fork over a little more money than that. But yeah, we've still got these like little hobbit holes, as Estan put it. I still think these look great. I made these back in January. My only problem is that these guys, they suck. They don't move. I don't know what the deal is. Their hitboxes are like really like, let me show you. So, what? Why are there giraffes over there? That's not where the giraffe exhibit is. The giraffes are over here. Oh, you know what? I'm dumb. I forgot that the exhibit like extends in that direction. I thought they were like where the primate house is, but no, we're fine. But yeah, with the meerkats, these guys, their hitbox is like their nav mesh. More accurately, these guys can only go here, and then these guys can only go here, but they can still come over to like this side of the exhibit, but for some reason these guys can't. It's broken, and like there's nothing blocking them. Like it's just terrain. There's no scenery here besides these rocks, but that should be easy for them to get over. And like I put in a rock hyrax just to test it out, and they have no problem getting around the whole exhibit. Yeah, it's dumb. It's annoying. I need to like figure that out, or just like wait for them to fix the meerkats, I guess. And none of them can get under here right now, unfortunately. But I think I just need to, because I've got some rocks down here, I think I just need to move those, and they'll be fine. But I just don't really feel like it. I don't feel like dealing with it. So we're gonna leave that as is for now. But I do think it looks better. So that's sort of where I'm happy with it for now, and we'll come back to it at some point, like everything else. But in terms of new stuff, you might remember. Okay, so at the beginning of the year, around the same time I built the Meerkat exhibit, we had this huge building, just like this very large, like glass, like it was a lot of windows, a lot of natural sunlight. This huge building around twice the height of this current building. And it was just a viewing area for the baboons and the ibexes. And the last episode, in the porcupine episode, I had removed it because I just thought it was ridiculously big and just wasn't serving its purpose. So that's gone. And in its place, we have this sort of smaller viewing gallery with an additional exhibit on this side. I don't know. Oh yeah, there they are. We've got some banded mongoose in here now. Oh, they're coming outside. That's good. They weren't coming outside before. Yeah, this is a little exhibit for banded mongoose. I was inspired by Bucorvis, another member of Bro Nation. Their work in their zoo, the Hague Zoo. At least I think it's the Hague Zoo. And they had this desert house, and they had the like outdoor exhibits for the animals, but then they had these like secondary indoor exhibits that were had a lot of natural sunlight, and it was just these like cute little glass pavilions that I thought were so appealing, and that guests could view from an indoor part. And I just thought they looked so cool. But we'll get a closer look at that in a second. We're going to come around here. And this actually is still for a viewing area for the baboons and ibexes, but it now also doubles as a viewing area for the mongoose. And it's also the holding facility for the mongoose and the baboons, but it's still a work in progress. I need to finish that. But I'm happy with this as it is. I need to also add another wall just to hide all this stuff that's poking out on the other side. But yeah, this is the indoor portion for the banded mongoose. Yeah, but I used to have a couple different species in here. I had fennec fox, I had sandcat, but I actually want to put those in the desert dome exhibit on the other side of the zoo. So I think banded mongoose are the best fit for this area right now. And I think I actually built it intended for rock hyraxes, but I was looking at rock hyrax exhibits and they have a lot more like verticality and like fancy rock work for them to climb around on, and this does have that to an extent, but if I was a rock hyrax I would probably be a little understimulated in here because there aren't really many like ledges and stuff like that for me to climb on and get up high. So I think this works like perfectly for mongooses and the other animals I had in here before, and they've been breeding like rabbits, but the babies are super cute. I forget who this mod is by, but it's pretty good. I think it's on the Prairie Dog rig. But yeah, as you can see, this is still like an on-show like exhibit portion. Like it's not this isn't their holding facility. They would go through this little door here and that's where it would be, and then this is for the keepers. But then over here I've got these really cool murals that I made out of the surface decals. This one's meant to like represent cracked concrete specifically, but I've messed around with the colors and I've made them look like either like flat like rock plateaus or like tree trunks that have been cut this way. Either way, I think it looks really cool. And then I've got these other cracks sort of strewn about that are meant to look like branches, and I just think it looks awesome. And then I've got a door for staff, of course. And then the mongoose can come under this sort of rocky area and out into their outdoor portion of the exhibit. Also looks pretty cool. I think part of the reason I got rid of the sand cats was that the cats would probably be able to come up here on top of this and just crawl out despite the hot wire. So that's probably not the safest option. But yeah, that's for the mongoose. But we're not done, because over here, we've actually got some new residents. Before, this exhibit was occupied by Hamadryas baboon and the alpine ibex, which was standing in for the Nubian ibex. But and I'm pretty sure those two can cohabitate IRL, at least the baboons and the Nubian ibex, definitely not alpine ibex because those aren't from the same area. But I took the extra effort and installed the gelada mod as well as the Nubian ibex mod. So now the ibexes aren't quite as big and they're a different color. And so they're Nubian ibexes. Now I don't have to pretend. So that's nice. And the geladas also look really, really good. I think BZ commissioned this mod specifically. I don't know why he has pink hair. I don't know what's going on there. But they look pretty cool. And I also added this little climbing frame here just down in front, because before this was all they had and this was what they were using, so they never really came up to the front of the exhibit, so it was a little annoying. But now they come over here pretty often, and it's really cool to see them like sitting on the logs like this just right in front of the people. And this interior is also a work in progress. I need to add signage and whatnot, but that's pretty much the same situation for the entire Africa Pavilion. But yeah, over here, I was gonna say, like, we're gonna see like what signage would look like in this part of the zoo in a minute, because I've got this whole area that we're about to see. But over here, I've got a little sort of dry garden. Looks pretty nice. This was kind of just empty space before. I had some grass, but I actually wanted to do something with it. So yeah, and then you can see me sort of spreading around more of that bamboo, just sort of getting that zoo vibe across, like we talked about last episode. Actually, one of my favorite little areas in the zoo now is this sort of like walkway between the painted dog and mongoose exhibits, because it almost feels like a bridge, but like there's no like real like elevation. It's just kind of this hill that you come over, but it's like lined by these two fences and then the bamboo just beyond that, and you get to a little peek into the mongoose exhibit. I think it looks so cool. And I also really like the lighting setup we've got going on in here. Looks really cool. I made these hanging lights for the insect house in this zoo that we'll see at some point, but I'm not really finished with that, so you guys will just have to be patient. And then I've also started spreading around these do not feed the animals signs more. I don't know if I did that last episode, but they're here now, and I still think these look great. I made these almost 2 years ago. So yeah, but we're going to crawl up this hill really quickly. I do kind of want to reimagine this little area just because it's there's really nothing going on, and it is sometimes nice to have a little break between the exhibits and attractions, but in general it just feels a little empty to me still. There's our little quick service eatery, but over here just beyond this little walkway we have a brand new area called the Gombe Forest. So Gombe is in reference to Gombe National Park, which is a pretty prominent habitat for chimpanzees in East Africa, I'm pretty sure. I just thought it was this really cool sounding name. So yeah, this is going to be the section of the Africa Pavilions dedicated to rainforest animals. And it's not connected to Gorilla 360, which is actually just beyond this. But it's it has a lot of the same design philosophies because we're sort of building a tropical themed area in a temperate climate. So yeah, you'll be seeing a lot of similarities in that regard. So over here is our sort of first example of signage for what I want to do for the Africa Pavilion as a whole. These are just lion signs, but it's mostly the color scheme that I'm working on. And this will be like the sort of color scheme for the entire sort of precinct of the zoo. Hello, little Wyatt for scale. And then over here, I want to have a bathroom and I think maybe an aardvark exhibit. I think it'd be pretty cool to have aardvarks sort of heading the transition between grassland and forest because they do occupy both. And there's the clock tower just poking out of the trees. So yeah, that'll be something for a future episode. But actually, once I'm done with Gombe Forest, I might want to move on to another section of the zoo. I'm thinking about sort of reapproaching either the Desert Dome or the Australia section. Which are both guest projects, but there's just been so many updates and so many new pieces and so many new animals that I kind of want to go in and just sort of add a fresh coat of paint to everything. And I've sort of been doing that in the Australia section already, but I want to be a little more thorough. Like I want to add like whole new buildings and rework exhibits and stuff. So that'll be exciting. But yeah, for now, Gombe Forest, Africa Pavilion, let's focus. So coming this way, I really like this wooden arch or just sort of over canopy thing. It's something I've got going on in a couple other parts of the Africa Pavilion, and before this was feeling a little bit empty and like there was really nothing to welcome you in besides the sign. And I did actually this font is called ITC Cabell, and it's the bold version, and it's what we've been using in St. Reginald Zoo, and I've been making all these custom signs for it, but I never actually made like a dedicated custom font. Like each time I made a sign, it was like a brand new like sign traced over a specific billboard. But I finally got my SHIT together and made an actual font set, which I'll be posting on the workshop once this video's out. So stay tuned for that. I love how clean it is. Eben picked it out for the series specifically, and I think it looks so good and so zooey. And then I've got these chimp signs that I actually made for the first version of the Africa Pavilion last year, but that chimp exhibit's long gone. But these are still good. And I also posted the font piece animal silhouette set. That's also on the workshop, and I'll post the links to both of those in the description. But yeah, so coming under here, this sort of overhang welcomes you, as does the sign. And as we enter, we've got our first exhibit in the Gombe Forest. It is for African gray parrots. These are by Jaguar X, made of eggs and font pieces, and they look so good. And I'm also using some of Jaguar's enrichment pieces, like this little hollowed out log. And this was another aviary structure that I made for Balboa Zoo back in the day, but I've repurposed it here because it looks super good. Yeah. So this is the African gray parrot exhibit. Yeah, a lot of the same plants that I was using in Gorilla 360. I've got these Kentia palms that I've I've potted because you wouldn't be able to have these out year round. So yeah, and just more bamboo, and I've started to use the Cecropia saplings too. These look really, really good. What else? I was gonna mention something. Oh yeah, the creosote bushes that we got in the last update. They don't have the flowers, so they're a lot more functional as sort of just generic bushes. Those look great. Over here, there's supposed to be a staff gate because this is all like just personnel infrastructure. But we've got what appears to be another exhibit over here. I'm wondering, should we look at this first or look at that first? Let's look at this first. So this is the main attraction. If you couldn't guess by the signs outside, this area contains chimpanzees. Let's see what we've got going on here. Can we make this look better? Sure. But yeah, and just like Gorilla 360, I've got all these trees with the fake liana roots strewn about them. That still looks amazing. And I've started to like put moss on the paths. That also looks really cool. But yeah, over here, we've got this huge waterfall display. This reminds me, over 2 years ago at this point, I made sort of a similar thing for the now defunct Indomalaya section of the zoo, for the Malayan tapir exhibit, and it's just so crazy to think like how far we've come in terms of like pieces and what we're able to recolor, and this all just looks so much better and more advanced now. In terms of what we're capable of, it's so cool and refreshing to see. The chimps aren't around here right now, but they are able to come over, but I'm deliberately not looking at the climbing structure because I want to save that as a surprise. But yeah, we've got this pretty heavy-duty fence here because I really, really, really don't want guests entering the chimp exhibit for any reason. Yeah, we don't really want another Harambe situation on our hands, even though Harambe was a gorilla. With chimps, it would actually probably end up a lot worse than what happened in Cincinnati Zoo. So yeah, we're really sparing no expense in terms of safety for the people and the animals. So yeah. Over here, we've got a sort of... Well, this is a secondary viewing area because, as you can probably tell, there's a much larger, more grand viewing area over there. But this is just sort of a little intro, an opportunity to get up close with the chimps. And yeah, here's their climbing structure, I guess. This is actually pretty much original for me. I didn't really use any references for this. I think I had the bonobo exhibit at the San Diego Zoo in mind, but I think I just looked at a picture and just sort of kept it in my brain, and now this exists. It uses the, what are these called? Just the metal, the metal climbing frame extensions that were originally meant for the Siamang exhibits, or just for the builds in this game, but these still look so good. I've always wanted a metal piece that the animals can climb, because those are pretty common, as opposed to wood, which is also common, but I wanted like a nice variety of materials that the animals can use. So that's good. And I actually started using the like original base game like climbing frame pieces again. I actually think they look super good with the you can see like the bolts and the nails they have, and just the detail on them is really nice. The chimps use this pretty frequently. You can see this guy hanging out up here. They do get pretty high. I wonder if we can get him to use it. Come on. Anybody? No? Oh well. Maybe we'll see him do it at some point. But yeah, as you can see, we've got the primate house in the back. That's where gibbons are going to be kept in a huge greenhouse. So that'll be super cool to see up against the chimps hanging out outside. And yeah, not much else to really show here. We will actually go over here and check out what this exhibit is. There's going to be a holding facility over here, but this is the black-crowned crane / well, they're not really showing their faces right now, but we'll see what other animal lives in here. And yeah, I really like this exhibit. You'll see one of my favorite views in the zoo coming up on the other side, because this goes pretty much all the way down the whole Gombe forest area. So yeah, we'll see how that looks in a second. What I really love over here is this fence design. On the other side, it's got these hot wires at the top, because I feel like this would be like a foothold for the chimps, and they could totally just like climb out if they wanted to. So that's why I've got the hot wires. I might make this a little taller just so the chimps wouldn't even really attempt it. But yeah, these holes in the fence look super cool. The way I did this was I've got these little half-meter timber poles from the Indonesia set, and I've just sort of like randomly deleted various ones, and then I've put glass fences in between, and it's just like this sort of like artistic kind of slightly obscuring view into the exhibit, just so the chimps have a little privacy, but you can see in a few different places just fine. I think that looks super cool. I've got more of these basket ferns and all of these bromeliads up against the trunks of the trees. That's a new thing I figured out. I forget the name of the builder who came up with this. He did this really cool build with these tropical domes that came out on the workshop recently, and I saw that he was doing this with the trees, putting all of the bromeliads up against the trunks, and it looks super cool. I did it on this tree as well. I'll post who did that in the editing bay. But yeah, over here, past all of these smaller viewing areas, you get your main view into the chimp exhibit. Zoo nerds, I think, will guess the reference immediately, but this is based on the chimp exhibit at the Taronga Zoo in Australia. They have this beautiful brick and concrete building that gives guests a thorough view into their exhibit, and I just love the color and the architecture of it so much that I had to lift it and bring it into Orewell. So let's go inside and see what we have going on. So, this, I think, is for the most part, like, ready to go, but I think it's more so the exhibit itself that's a work in progress, because I need to, like, cover up this whole back area, and, like, you're not supposed to see the okapi in the back. These are in Gorilla 360, so that's sort of a reference for how, where we are in the zoo. And then there's the Gary Center in the back, and that will function as the chimps holding facility. But yeah, back inside the building, we've got all these really cool signs, just talking about how this enclosure doubles as a chimp sanctuary. So, like, chimps from, like, I don't know if these would be, like, rescued from lab testing, because we don't do that on chimps anymore in this country. But maybe from, like, private institutions and pets and like, circuses and all that crummy stuff. But yeah, I would like these chimps to be rescued chimps and not just like captive bred, like, you know, it's just sort of a personal thing for me, is like, if great apes are to be in captivity, they ought to be here for a good reason besides human entertainment. So I'm thinking as a personal headcanon that all of these chimps have been rescued from previously worse situations and given a better life here to grow old and have a good life, because I think that's what they deserve, because they're basically people. But yeah, so over here we've just got more cool signs. I've got this this font piece creation, I'd call it, by Just Goron, that I've plastered all over the signs because it looks super cool. Then I've also got pictures in-game screenshots of the chimps themselves. If you couldn't tell, I'm using the chimp remaster. I think it's by Gombe. Let me get up close to one of these guys to show you just how good it looks. Yeah, so I had a lot of issues with the original chimp model, the vanilla version. It was just sort of a lot of it was the face. These guys have, look at them go, look at those lips. They just weren't like, it was kind of softened down and cartoony, and it just didn't really have like the gritty, wrinkly detail that real chimps have. And these guys also have beards, which real chimps have, and they also have a lot more variation in the skin color department. I don't know if we have, because a lot of these chimps were from the original exhibit we had in the zoo before the remaster came out. So these are all chimps that have lighter skin. But I'm trying to see if our, is this it? Yeah. So they also have chimps with darker skin, which I notice is actually, at least in my personal experience, a little more common, at least in zoos. Look at this guy. Let me actually pause because I want to show off this model. Look how good. Oh, it looks so good. Hi, buddy. Look how handsome. Hello. They're so much better. Yeah, and they have ones with like black skin, brown skin, and then the more well-known sort of iconic paler skin, and they just look so much better. But yeah, I need to add like a little sort of a grate for this water to come out because right now it's sort of coming out of nowhere. But yeah, like the idea would be like it would come to the bottom, and then another pipe that would be underground would come up and just bring the water back out. So it would be like a fountain. I think that's how like fake waterfalls work in real life. But yeah, that's what we've got going on for our friends the chimps. There's more to see inside the building, so let's look at that. Another thing that I ripped from Taronga was the sort of the ground cover design. It sort of alternates between like this sort of more comfortable grass and dirt to this like cobblestone almost. I don't know why. And all of these stones I imagine would be like stuck in the ground, like this would be concrete and the stones would not be able to be removed because giving a bunch of loose boulders to chimps that can throw or that are very good at throwing would be a recipe for disaster. So I've actually made a point of not having any sort of like easily removable like rocks and branches because they could probably just break the glass if they felt like it. And I was reading the AZA care manual for the chimps, and they mentioned the point of having things in the exhibit that the chimps could alter or like have control over. So what I want to do so I've got this termite mound, and that's something they could do, but I also want to have like sort of water fountain that they could drink out of and press buttons. They mentioned like giving the chimps the choice of like sounds and like ambient sounds and like even music to play, which I thought was really interesting. And I think that's sort of where something like this keyboard would come in. Where's the keyboard? There it is. Yeah, something like this, but I was thinking maybe like something like that up against the wall would be interesting, and they could just play sounds when they wanted to. That's so like the care that goes into or like the effort that goes into caring for great apes is so like complex and fascinating to me because again they're basically just people, but like they're different and it's so fascinating like the similarities and differences we have with them that like again I'm not like super comfortable with them just like being in captivity solely for entertainment. So that's why I want to give these guys the best lives possible. And like it is realistic to have great apes in zoos because that's like the standard, I don't know. It's a complex discussion, and I don't really want to draw out the video. But part of why I have the waterfall in here is because I think it would just be interesting for them because like they don't swim and the water is shallow for that reason. But like I just think it would be interesting for them to like enjoy the sounds of the water and splash around in the water. So that's sort of why I have the waterfall going on in here and not just like another climbing frame. But yeah, further down in this little viewing area, we have this section, and this is sort of like where you're meant to get like a very up close personal experience with the chimps. You could just sit down and watch them, and like they can watch you, and they can just hang out comfortably in the shade. I was thinking of having like sort of opportunities to interact with them a little more closely. Some sort of activity station where like you can just interact with them in some way that would be safe and you wouldn't be able to like make physical contact with them. I was thinking of having some sort of like mesh right here where like you could like make some sort of contact, but I just don't think that would be very safe in any sort of way. Any opportunity they have to like grab on or bite something, I feel like they will. So just for everybody's sake, I don't think that's the best idea, but I'm still figuring out something I could put here that would be cool. And then over here is a little section talking about the ecology of chimps and how that shouldn't be poking out. There we go. The ecology of chimps and how they hunt animals, and they have like a very sort of wide-ranging diet, but they are also prey to other animals, mostly leopards, but also crocodiles, I feel like. So yeah, I think that's something interesting and worth mentioning about them. But yeah, so that's the sort of chimp viewing area. I want to come up with a name for it, but that's all being workshopped. I get it, Wyatt Andrews Workshop. But I also really like how this ceiling looks. This is also just sort of based on what they've got going on at Taronga. They've got sort of this leaf pattern on the ceiling that looks really, really cool. And I also love how these lights are strewn about. That looks really realistic to me. But yeah, over here, this landscaping is WIP. I've got a nice little a break in the path texture here. It's sort of meant to look almost like a bridge. But yeah, coming over this way, we actually get to one of my favorite views in the zoo, or my new favorite views in the zoo. Let me see if I can... Yeah, so we saw the black-crowned cranes on the other side, but this is also home to... What kind of duiker is this? What are you? What are you? Yellow-backed duiker. I thought the colors on these guys were really, really cool, so that's why I picked them. But yeah, but like look at the backlighting. It's so pretty, and like the way the branches and all the rocks and plants just sort of frame this little vista. I think it looks amazing. And I'm starting to incorporate more of the signage here too. So yeah, that's what we've got going on in the Gombe forest. Over here. This is a service road. I was thinking you'd come under here and you'd get to some sort of hippo exhibit. I don't know if I want it to be common or pygmy hippos. Maybe pygmy, just because we're kind of still in the rainforest. But then over here, with the Gary Center, hi gorillas, with the Gary Center, I'm going to have what's called like a chimp penthouse here. So it's not like a holding facility, but it's just sort of a indoor daylight room that the chimps can hang out in and be studied by the researchers at the zoo. And that's because that's a lot of what the Gary Center is researching the apes in captivity to sort of apply those methods to preserving them in the wild. Again, just sort of going all out for the apes for their sake. But yeah, that's all going to be very fun. I might add like an aviary or some small primate here, but that's all in good time. So yeah, that's the Gombe forest as it stands. So we've got more stuff planned for the rest of the Africa Pavilion. I want to have lions sort of at the very end. We're going to have rhinos over here. A bunch of other animals in between that will be like exclusively viewable on the tram tour. But yeah, that's all for the future. I don't know exactly when a next video will be out, because I don't know exactly what I'm going to be working on next, because I've got a lot like that I want to do. But yeah, I'll see you in whatever comes first, and have a good one.